Okay. All right. So as you maneuver to your second phase, okay. So you've gone through Online Expert. Hopefully, you've done some activities in the workbook. That's
Yeah,
what
I
it's
did all the.
designed for.
Actually, I've got to finish up the workbook for session 5 today. Um,
Okay.
just kind of the way I've been doing it. I do the pre-test, and I go through all the audio, and then I take the test. Once I get my results back from the test, I print out that study guide, go back through and make all the corrections for that, and then do the workbook, and then I test again to see how much of that is, found its way home or I've retained. And it seemed to work pretty
Okay.
good.
Nice. All right. So what I want you to expect is moving on to your next phase, and you get to Cert Master, when you get to use Certify. Okay. I don't want you to go into those resources assuming that you know everything already, because
Right.
that's a lot of people do that, and they get thrown off. They may get asked a question about something that, not something that wasn't covered, because Jason does a good job of covering the objectives, but he doesn't necessarily go into extreme depth with each topic, right? Which, I mean,
Right.
if he did that, the course would take, it would take a month to take it. So, what you have to expect going into these other resources, that there's still some stuff that you probably need to brush up on, okay? Or maybe you didn't learn in as much depth, and that's what these other resources are for, okay? So when you get to Cert Master, when you get to use Certify, if you're doing activities and things that you haven't tried yet, or something that you're not totally comfortable with, don't worry. That's why we're giving you these extra resources and not just sending you to take the exam once you get through Online Expert. Okay? The other thing is, what I recommend for Net Plus is some type of virtual environment where you can play around with network devices, okay, with switches, with routers, with access points, wireless access points, and devices, right? So right here, what I have up are the objectives. Obviously, hopefully everyone is familiar with these, and you have these somewhere where you can pull them up fairly quickly. You need to have these with you until you take and pass the exam, okay? Because it's pretty much your roadmap for what you need to know, what you're going to be tested on. All right. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, past the acronyms, okay, there's a list down here, and it says proposed. It's the Network Plus proposed hardware and software list. This is stuff that they recommend that you spend some time playing around with before you take the exam, so you feel a lot more comfortable. Particularly if you're, like I said, if you're just coming into the field, because there's a lot of things that you haven't been exposed to yet. But on this exam, you could very well be asked questions about stuff that you haven't, troubleshooting situations you haven't been in, networking issues and things that you haven't experienced yet, right? Those things are you feel a lot more comfortable with those things if you've at least experienced them, right? And most people that are coming into the field, they have it.
Right.
So that's why they have this list down here of stuff that they recommend that you spend some time playing with. Okay, so what I tell everyone is, instead of going out and buying all this stuff, just find a resource that provides all of it for free. Right? So you're going to get access to some of this stuff in Use Certify, you'll see. But what I like to do is I like to play around in actual, networking environments where I can, throw the switches and the routers in there, and I can configure them and make them work and all of that stuff. Okay, so that's what I recommend for people that are going to be taking this exam, especially if you're just coming into the field. You have to find a way to gift yourself some experience. Otherwise, what happens to a lot of people is they sit down and start taking the exam, and they get overwhelmed by the wording alone. Just by, sometimes the wording that they use, it makes you second guess the stuff that you know. It makes you second guess what you know, and then all of a sudden you think that you know it, and then you start psyching yourself out. Okay, it's happened to me before, so I just want to kind of prepare you guys for that. If you look up here under the test details, right, it tells you here under recommended experience, at least A plus certified, right? And the reason they say that is because the first A plus exam has the basics of networking in it. Okay, so if you can get through the basics of that stuff, then there's a good chance that you'll be able to follow what you see here. Okay, so that's why they say A plus certified at least, or 9 months in the field, right? Working in a network support uh, scenario, right? So without this, you have to understand, without either one of these, you're at a distinct disadvantage. Okay, and so that's why you have to find a way to supplement that stuff. Okay. Any questions on that? On the objectives, where to find them, how to use them?
No.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to tell you is the thing that tricks up the most people. Go ahead. Someone have a question?
Yeah. The list of information at did you get it from the web?
Yeah, you can. You can get it. The easiest way to get it is just go to Google, type in N10007 exam objectives, and then they'll pop up. Or you can get them from the forum as well. I have them saved in there for everyone. So if you, as long as you register for the forum, scroll down to Net Plus, down here under CompTIA, and then scroll down. I think they're in here. They should be. Objectives. I'm sure I put them in here. It may be on the next page. Maybe not. Oh. Well, maybe I do need to put them in here. I was pretty sure I did, but okay, well, they're not in here. But like I said, you can go to Google and get them from there. You can also get them from Exam Compass, the testing site. Compass. So if I go to examscompass.com, yeah, it's CompTIA practice exams, and then you can scroll down and where's some Net Plus ones here. So they'll be at the bottom here. So you can get it from here too. Like I said, the easiest way is just go to Google.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, cool. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
So okay. Yeah, no worries. So what I wanted, the heads up that I want to give you guys, if you haven't taken this exam yet, okay, for those of you that are kind of just gearing up to take it, the heads up that I want to give you is the troubleshooting. Okay, I think the troubleshooting gives people more trouble than anything else. The majority of this exam, I don't want to say the majority, but I kind of do because I'm comparing it to a different exam, to a Cisco exam. So compared to Cisco, this exam is more conceptual. It's more just about the concepts and you understanding what this is, you know, why you would use it, you know, the application of it. Okay. With Cisco, it's a lot more hands-on. You have to understand, you know, how to configure and how to put a lot of this stuff in action. You have to know, you know, how the commands and how to, you know, there's just a lot more hands-on, right? This exam is more conceptual. It's just about, you know, like here with the routing protocols, right? RIP versus, you know, EIGRP or OSPF, all this stuff. Here, you just have to really understand the concepts. And it says it here, right? It just says explain the concepts and characteristics, right? It's not saying you have to configure anything or anything like that. Not with these. But with Cisco, I mean, you have to know how to configure all this stuff, right? So, you know, that's the difference. So this is, for the most part, it's pretty conceptual exam. It's just about understanding the concepts. And in some areas, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to configure like, they'll say configure. Given a scenario, configure something, right? IP addressing or something like that. But here's compare and contrast, right? That type of deal. But when you get down to the troubleshooting, it's a little bit different. All right. And what they're going to do is a lot of people think they're trying to trick you, right? But the first part of it is understanding the steps, making sure that you can put these in order, for one. And for two, the second part of that is you have to be able to identify where you are in the process, because they're going to give you scenarios. So if you look under here, each one under 5.1 says given a scenario, right? Given a scenario, given a scenario, given a scenario, given a scenario, right? So with this whole section, when you come across troubleshooting questions, there's going to be like some type of real life scenario that you're going to have to analyze and think your way through. Okay. A lot of people, they don't have the repetition of that. So it doesn't come to them naturally, right? You want to kind of get to the point to where it comes to you naturally, and you can look at a situation and say, okay, I'm at the beginning of the troubleshooting process, or, maybe I'm in the middle somewhere. Okay. You have to identify where you are. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you an idea of which of the answers, which, by the way, with the troubleshooting questions, all of them could work sometimes. They'll give you a question with a bunch of they'll give you a scenario with a problem, and 3 out of 4 of the questions are all possible solutions. And what you're looking for is the best one. Okay. And so what you have to do is figure out where you are in the process, and that's what's going to separate one from the other, or it's going to eliminate one and leave this one, or that type of deal. Okay. So it's kind of a process of elimination deal when you get to troubleshooting versus there's one direct answer. Okay. With some questions, you may be able to say, okay, well, yeah, this one is easy. Not so much the case with the troubleshooting. Okay. So I want you guys to make sure that you spend a decent amount of time on this area, because this is the area that gives most people problems. Okay, so this is the area that you want to be on the lookout for. And the more you know, the more practice you get, the more comfortable you'll feel. That's the best way that I can put it. There's kind of a science to troubleshooting, but you don't really learn it unless you do it. Even if you know the difference between this and that, it's about knowing when am I going to use this versus that type of stuff. Okay. It's what's the best good example? When am I going to use ping versus traceroute? Okay. When am I going to use telnet or secure shell versus telnet, right? What situations would I want to use telnet? WPA, WPA2, web, right? There is a scenario in which you would use all of those. Right, understanding when and how to apply the stuff is what really separates the people that get through these exams and the ones that struggle. Okay, it's about understanding the application of this stuff, not just a definition. Right, it's not just knowing what attenuation is. What's the difference between attenuation and latency? Right, there's distinct little differences, and if you can spot them, it makes it easy for you to either key in on something or eliminate something else. Okay, so just keep that in mind with each question, because they're not always going to be cut and dry. A lot of the times it's going to be up to your interpretation of the question and how you read it and how you understand it. If you understand it how you're supposed to, then you should be able to pick out, or at least single out, at least 1 or 2 answers. And sometimes it comes down to 2, and you have to kind of choose. But the main thing that I want to kind of make sure that you guys understand is for troubleshooting, you have to be on your P's and Q's and just, start here with putting this stuff in order and understand what's going on as you're going through the process. If you can do that, you should be all right with these troubleshooting questions if you've done your homework. All right. So, any questions on that?
No, not really, but do you have some examples we can walk through?
Sure. Examples of like troubleshooting questions?
Yes.
All right. So I didn't
I
draft
think
any
that's
up
what I
for this.
found the most difficult when I took the post-assessment was identifying the sub-steps to troubleshooting steps.
Okay. I didn't draft any up today, but let me see if I have any. Because sometimes what I'll do is I'll just create my own questions that we'll kind of go over as a group prior to the session. The problem is I don't save them, mainly because I don't want to go through the same questions again. So we can have any in here.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Lean.
Did you have a question? Or you were talking to someone else? Okay, so I want to come to Exam Compass real quick. And I want to come down to, do they have a troubleshooting section here? They don't. So I'm going to try something else. Cert Master. All right, so let's see if I can find some that we can test out here under troubleshooting. Net Plus, troubleshooting tools, troubleshooting without using tools. Okay, so this would be a good one to look at. So let's do a refresh. You guys can all still see the screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. This actually isn't a good example because this is kind of cut and dry. Let me. Which command is no identifier? Yeah, this is too. What tools to use? Yeah, see, these are too to the point. I'm looking for something that's more like what you'll see on the exam. So just gonna drop them all. Detail scope. Okay. Let me look at some more. I may have some in here. Practice labs, feedback. No, I'm not seeing any that looks like. I would say documents. Nope, nothing in here. Okay, so I'll just try to look at a scenario, and then I'll type it out here, then bring it back. In the meantime, while I'm coming up with a practice question, are there any other areas in particular that's bothering anyone? Kelly says sometimes you need to know where you are already in the troubleshooting process. Yeah, that's true. So sometimes they'll put you at the beginning, and it'll be easy to. Normally, it's easy to tell if you're at the beginning because you're still just trying to figure out, what's going on. right? Normally, if they put you in the middle, you have an idea of what the problem is, and you're still trying to figure out what the most likely cause is. So that's another way of, word doesn't want to work right now. Come on. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that kind of helps if you're stuck, if you're, caught between, should I replace the battery or should I plug in the PC or should I replace the entire laptop? There's a bunch of different options which may all be solutions, but you have to figure out which one is the right one. So does it? I was looking for troubleshooting ones, Kelly. I didn't see any specific troubleshooting ones. Okay, so I just came up with one real quick. All right, I didn't even put any answers down yet, but this is one that we can just talk about as a group, right? And then kind of go through it and determine some things. All right. So the first thing that I want everyone to kind of get accustomed to is the wording of this. The wording is pretty straight to the point. I'm not using acronyms and I'm not using a bunch of technical terms. All right. This one is just pretty straight to the point. All right. For the most part, there will be some stuff in here that you have to try to pick up on. All right. But this one, I just want to kind of get everyone used to just the structure and dissecting the question. So this one says you've just entered the office after a weekend and have many employees complaining about not being able to reach a media server that was working just fine on Friday. Okay, what is the first course of action? So let's just kind of go over this as a group, right? The first thing that you have to take into account is we're talking about, it's been a weekend, right? You just entered the office after a weekend, so it's Monday. Just been a couple days off, right? No one's been in the office, right? So you have to think about, what are things that could happen over a weekend that could affect connectability, right? Other things that you have to look at, right? If I had to say what were some hints or some key words, what would you guys point out?
It's been a weekend.
Just looking and reading through the question.
There's been a couple of days. Likely there was something that's changed over the network over the last couple of days.
Right. It could have been something, right? Maybe there was a
network
update.
patch.
Yeah, maybe there's a patch or something that affected connectivity. Maybe the server got rolled back, or right? There's all kind of stuff that could happen. All right, with this one. Right. So this tells you that there was a couple of days with no attendance. Right, to the server. What else? What's next? What else is kind of important on this one? Any thoughts? So the next thing that stands out to me is many, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's one employee comes in and is having a problem. That's one thing. But when you have many people that are having the same problem, kind of speaks to, yeah, there's definitely something going on, right? If it was just one employee, then it could be, all right, well, maybe it was just your PC or whatever, right? Maybe there's something going on with your personal credentials, or whatever, right? With your personal connection to the server, right? That's one thing. Many employees, that's a whole different ballpark, right? There's definitely a problem.
Scope.
What's that?
Actually, to go back to what you said earlier, the first thing I would do is make sure that people are connected to their server. If it's a Windows domain, are they logged in, and do they have access to the internet? And if they do, then I know the problem isn't a router, it isn't a server, there's something else going on. And many employees, if it's not all, then you have to figure out what it is with those employees that don't have access versus those that do. So that would be the second step.
Exactly. Yeah. See, and that gives you a lot of information there. Just this one word, right? Because this one word, if I change it to one, right? There's one employee, right? That's one situation versus many versus all, right? So yeah, very important, and it's good that you spotted that, right? Because this is subtle. You know, this is just something that kind of stands out. But I can tell you this: on the exam, on the actual exam, what they're going to do is how to make it all happen. So what they're going to do is they're going to do this. All right, they're going to put this in all caps so it stands out so that you spot it. Okay, so it'll be first, or it'll be best, or it'll be most likely, right? Something like that. But there's going to be something in there that stands out to kind of give you an idea. So when I hear first, what this tells me is that I'm at the beginning of the troubleshooting process. Okay, if they're asking me what do I do first, what do I try first, it means that you haven't tried anything yet, right? So in this scenario, I would say, okay, well, I'm probably more than likely I'm at the beginning of the troubleshooting process. So there's things that I haven't tried yet, and then that kind of gives me an idea of the type of things that I'm going to be trying, right? When you're talking about first, is that when you're replacing stuff, or is that when you're just checking like you're checking the bare minimum type stuff, right? You're checking network connections, you're checking Ethernet cables, right? You're checking the access points, you're just checking the lights on the access points just to make sure that there's connectivity, right? You're just doing the simple stuff. And so when you're taking this exam, if you ever see first, and your gut is telling you that it's something that's saying check the plug, all right? Even though you're like, it can't be check the plug, right? It can't be check the connector. More than likely it is. Because with troubleshooting, you're always starting with the simplest solution and then working your way up. Okay? You never go to the extreme first unless you have a sign that you need to go to the extreme. So if you turn on your computer and your hard drive is clicking, that's an extreme. Okay, you want to make sure that you get everything backed up because that drive is about to go, more than likely. All right, but it would have to be a situation like that for you to jump to the extreme. Okay, so keep that in mind. What else do we see here? That's really important. Not much. I think we kind of spotted the stuff that we needed to spot, right? This kind of gives us an indication of things that it could be, but it's not really that important. The main thing is that it's not working and it's affected many employees instead of one, right? So, and then the next most important thing would be first. So let's go through some things, all right? As a network administrator, right? You guys are junior network administrators, just got hired, and you got hired on Thursday, and on Monday, everyone's looking at you to solve their problem. All right. So what are some of the things that we're going to do first? Throw some things out there. Let's do it as a group.
Ask some questions and gather some information.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to start asking questions and saying, okay, well, when did this start? Obviously, you're just getting into the office, right? It's Monday. No one was there yesterday. So a lot of the times what you're going to get as an IT person is people are going to tell you it was working and now it's not.
Yeah.
Right? and sometimes you're going to have to try to decode that the best that you can. But all right, so what we know is that there's a server, right? And people had access to it, right? And today they don't. So what's one of the first things that, as a network administrator, you would do to try to troubleshoot this?
Try to replicate the problem from my own workstation.
Okay. Kelly says, as soon as you can get to the server, right? What's the technical term for that?
Ping.
There we go. That's the one I was looking for. Ping the server, right?
Yeah.
You guys can't reach the server, then we need to make sure that the server is available. Now, this say many here, okay? Which kind of gives an indication that maybe some employees can reach the server, but we don't know that. All we know is that we have many employees that can't.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, one of the first things that you're going to probably do is we're going to ping the server. Okay. What's something else? Let's say that we ping the server and the server's up.
Find out how they're connecting.
Find out how they're connecting?
Yeah, if they're connecting through a VPN or if they're having problems actually in the building.
Okay, so let's say...
Because the server can be talking to everybody inside, but if it's not getting outside, then nobody's getting any information.
Okay, so I'll just do an extra word in there. All right, so we have many on-site employees complaining about not being able to reach the media server. So let's say that reaching via VPN is not the problem. If we try, so remember, we're still here at first. Okay, so let's say that we just pinged the server and the server's up. Okay, yeah, let's say that the server's up. I was going to say that the server's down, but the server's up. What will we try next? Are they all in the same area of the building? Location.
All on the same VLAN.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're all in the same VLAN. Let's assume that we have layer 3 devices in the network. So even if we're not in the same VLAN, we can still connect. We should still be able to communicate. What else? What's another thing that we can try? Switch. Gary's saying switch. What about the switch?
We can check the switch.
Okay.
Well,
so
one thing we can do with the switch is that we can which domain is having the issues.
Let me switch this. Let me switch the scenario for a second. All right. Let's say that we ping the server and we can't reach the server either. So now we're included with many. What next? I want to keep it simple. So
Find out if the
can't ping the
internet's down.
server. Right. How do you do that? Verify local connectivity.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it like this. Verify local connectivity. What's another word for this? Or another term? Ping the what? I know somebody knows it. Kelly, I don't know if you said it or not because we're talking in slow-mo. So you're going to have to type. There we go. Yep, that's what I was looking for. So you have employees telling you that they can't reach something, and you try to reach it and you can't reach it either. So what you need to do now is verify that you can in fact get outside of your network. Right? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so next. So it's real simple. if you ping, all right, so let me actually bring up a diagram. I think that would be the best way to do this. Okay, so I have this network here, which I've had access yesterday, so I don't have to sign in to get here. All right, so let's say that I have a PC here, okay, and I'm trying to reach, I'm trying to reach this server over here. Okay, I won't be able to reach it right now because I set up an ACL yesterday, so it shouldn't work. But so let's say that I'm trying to get to the server right here, okay, and I ping it. This PC, this is one of our employees. They ping the server. They can't get to it, right? This PC tries to get to it. They can't get to it. This one can't get to it either, okay? So I try to ping it, and I can't get to it either. So if the problem, if no one can get to it, then obviously there's a problem somewhere. The first place that you want to look is your own device, right? So I want to make sure that, okay, if I can't get over here, at the very least, I can get here, right? If I can get here, then the problem is not here, then it's somewhere else, okay? So next step, come back here, all right? So we're going to ping the gateway, all right? Let's say that our gateway is up, so we're good there. So we're down here, right? We can't get to the server, but our gateway is up. What's the next step? Anyone?
Has anyone physically checked the server to be up and running?
Say that again?
Has anyone physically checked the server to make sure that it's up and running?
Not yet. Not yet. But we'd have to physically get up and go there. So in this scenario here, okay, this is a, what do you call it? This is a company. It has brother and sister locations. So this is location A, this is location B, this is location C. All right. So to get over here and physically check it, we would have to go to it. Okay. So what can we do before we do that? Right. If we try ping and that didn't work, what's next? So basically, we verify local connectivity, and we know that the problem is not local. So what does that mean? It has to be outside somewhere, right? Kelly says trace route. Does everyone agree? Does anyone have a different, what would you do? Okay, no one else said anything, so I'm gonna go with Kelly. She's right. Trace route. Okay, so if we try to ping, we ping the server's down, but we pinged our gateway and the gateway is up, right? So let me come back to that diagram. Okay, so gateway's up, server's down. Or we can't reach the server. We don't know if it's down, but we know we can't get it, but we know that our gateway is good, right? So if the problem's not here, it has to be somewhere else, right? And the way you determine where the problem is to do a trace route, because it follows you through the network. It follows each hop through the network, so it's going to tell you where the problem is. So this PC right here should not be able to reach this because I set up an ACL yesterday. Okay, so if I come in here and I go to the command prompt, and you can see that I did the ping to make sure, to test it, right? And it didn't work. So now, what I want to do is a trace route. If I'm losing anyone, please let me know. Okay, I understand that I'm kind of just jumping through the resources, but I'm just trying to make this visual for you guys so you can see it, what we're actually doing, all right? And what you can see here, and then it's going to come out when it gets to, it should come out when it gets to 30, right? TTL is 30. Okay, so what you can see here is I never made it past the gateway, right? I set up an ACL yesterday and I placed it here so that if I sent any IP traffic from this PC over to here, that it would get killed here, right? And that's what's happening here, right? You can see it. So each hop, right, it won't let me get past the gateway, all right? Now let me do it with another one that should be able to get through. let's see, this one right here. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. Right? I'm going to do a trace route to the same place. Trace route to 192.168.4. Was it 4.1 or 4.2? Anyone remember? 4.1. This is 2.4. Oh, so I should have sent it to this one. Anyway, okay, so this one, was it this one? Trace 2.4. All right. And then you're going to see here, right? You see the path that it takes to get there, right? 3 hops, that's all it took. And then it went through. So this is my gateway, right? The original gateway is right here. And then from there, it goes to another one. Then it goes to another one. And then it gets to where it's supposed to be. So I actually took this path to get there. And all I know why I did is because I'm using OSDF. Instead of taking this path, it took this path for some reason. But you can see the hops here, right? You can see the path that it takes. So what that means is if you trace route, then you find out where the problem is. If it's not inside your network, let's say that the problem was over here somewhere, where this is where it would have stopped. So that's the difference between ping and trace route. Okay, ping is just going to tell you if it's up or not. Okay, is the device reachable or not? Okay. Trace route is going to walk you through the actual path to get there. So it's going to tell you where the connection is cut. Okay. So if you verify local connectivity, you know that your gateway is not the problem. The problem is not inside your network. The next thing that you're going to do is trace route. That means it's outside your network, and this is going to tell you where the disconnect is happening. Okay. Does everyone get that?
Yes.
Okay. Kelly says you can also contact the other locations and ask if they're having similar issues. Yes, you can do that too. Okay. It's easy to ping and trace route, right? And then, once you do that, then you can start calling around. If you want to go to the actual server, okay, fine. Whatever it is you want to do. Okay. So after this, let's say that you do trace route and the server's not up and it still doesn't make it. Okay, so in this instance, I didn't put a lot of information here. I didn't really put a lot of thought into this. I just kind of wanted to walk you through the process of going through troubleshooting to figure out, okay, what do I do first? What do I do next? Right? What do I do after this? Let's say that the trace route goes in and we find out that the problem is, I don't know, the problem is with this router here. Okay. Well, hopefully we have spanning trees set up and then we wouldn't be having that problem. But, let's say that something's wrong with this connection down here, and then, the packet is supposed to go this way. All right. So we can do some things. We can do some alterations and, maybe we can set up a static route that stops it from trying to go this way and sends it this way.
You look up.
Okay. I'm not sure if he was talking to me or not, but all right. Let's see. What else can we do with that one? I think this is it. I mean, there's a lot of other things that it could be. Like I said, it could be anything. Over a weekend, it could have been a power outage, and the server needs to be rebooted. The server could be offline. Whatever. There could be all kind of things that are wrong, right? You try to ping the server, you can't get there. You can get outside of your gateway, but you still can't get to the server. So that's when you want to start. Maybe you want to call over there and say, hey, you guys having any problems with your server because we can't reach it, right? How about you guys? Can you reach your server? Those type of things, right? If they can reach their server, then obviously the server's not down, and the problem is somewhere between you and get into the server. And trace route's going to tell you where that is. Okay, so I just wanted to give an example that we could all go through. Are there any questions on that, or is anyone confused about kind of what we did? Okay, good to go. So in this scenario, what you would be looking for is you're going to want to ping the server before anything else. Okay, you want to know if it's reachable or not. Obviously, if it's not reachable, then you know, you can ping it all you want. You're not going to be able to reach it. But you know, if you can ping it, if you ping it and it's not reachable, then obviously you want to start looking at your own gateway and see if there's a problem there. And then from there, then you start looking outside your network. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. In almost every instance, unless they give you more information here that points towards something else, this is the path that you're going to take in a situation like this. All right, you're going to start with pinging whatever is unreachable, and then from there, you're going to verify your own local connectivity. Make sure that your gateway and everything is working locally. And if everything is working locally, then you start looking outside. All right. Okay. What else? Little network security. How are you guys on network security? Oh wow, we're out of time. I didn't even know we took up that much time. Okay. Okay, so real quick, what other questions do you have? Does anyone have any questions just about the exam in general? What it's going to be like? What you can expect to see? Strategies? Nope. Alrighty. Well, I'll leave you with this. So what I was speaking of earlier is something along these lines. Okay, when I was talking about the virtual environment, there's a lot of equipment here that I have access to. I do not have to go out and physically buy. I can connect these. I can configure these the way I want to. I set this network up. I can break it and on purpose and practice fixing it. And that's what I do when I'm preparing for any networking type of exam. Is I put, you know, I build my own networks and I just put the concepts into practice. And so that works for me. I remember stuff better that way. I retain stuff better that way. And it makes more sense to me if I can remember something that I did versus, you know, trying to remember Jason's lecture or Professor Messer's course notes or, you know, whatever the case is. So my recommendation to you all is practice. You know, find some area where you can put the concepts that are in the objectives into practice, into play. And then you use these to test your knowledge. This is a learning tool as well. Exam Compass, not so much, but and the reason I say that is just because, you know, there's a ton of different practice exams here, but you either get it right or you get them wrong. You know, they're not going to tell you why you got something right or wrong. They're not going to explain it. They just kind of ask you these questions and you have to answer them, and then you move on, and then they'll let you know at the end if you got it right or wrong. But this, if you get it wrong, they're going to give you a full-blown explanation of everything here. So this is more of a teaching tool. But where you really want to do your learning is in a network environment. I say that just about every week, and to me, that's just the best way to learn this stuff. You only get so far with lectures and taking notes, but when you start doing this stuff and putting it into action, then it makes a lot more sense. So, okay, I don't have anything else. I don't want to drag this on if you guys don't have any questions. So, Kelly says save hands-on for the end. Practice it until some of it becomes automatic. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So learn the stuff, and then, you know, once you feel that you know it, then you practice it. You know, you kind of verify that you know what you think you know. Okay. Uh, and then, like you said, just practice it until it becomes automatic, until you can do this stuff without really thinking about it. That may take more time for some than it does for others, but I think it's necessary to feel comfortable going into these exams. Otherwise, you're just kind of shooting in the dark. All right. Other thing, use the objectives. Make sure you understand what's expected of you on all levels. Right. You're not expected to configure and install everything. Some stuff you just need to know the characteristics of, or you just need to summarize. Right. Some stuff you do need to configure. Right. You do need to know how to configure access points for this exam, because I did have to configure a few. Okay, you do need to know about antenna placement. Okay, when you're setting up a network, how are you going to structure? Where are you going to put your antennas, right? For your network to be effective, that type of stuff. Okay, you do need to know how to do that. But you know, they're not going to have you. The whole exam is not going to be like that. You know, a lot of it, like I said, is going to be conceptual based. You know, it's about the characteristics of things and knowing how to apply it in different situations. So that's how you need to kind of train yourself or prepare yourself for this exam. Just be prepared to analyze like real life scenarios. And when it comes to the troubleshooting, just, you know, keep in mind, try to do what we just did, right? In a real world scenario, what are you going to do if you have a bunch of people telling you that they can't reach something, right? Well, first you're going to see if you can reach it, right? And if you can't reach it, then you're going to see if you can reach your gateway. And if you can reach your gateway, the problem's outside your network. If you can't reach your gateway, then the problem is inside your network, right? So anyway, I'm done. If you guys don't have anything else, let me just take these names down. And I think this was a pretty decent session. And I will have it posted for you guys later on today. I'm going to be posting them all the sessions that I did this week. So